spiritual art of prayer. That is God's will and waiting on God. Then we will start by God's will. There are some categories about the God's will. So we will start by knowing the will of God. Since prayer is the union between the believer's will and the will of God, it is imperative for a person to find out what God's will is before he or she starts praying. So here both the purpose of prayer and the content must be according to God's will. Here God has promised to reveal his will to his praying children. Like in Psalms 32 verse 8, as he says, I will instruct you and teach you the way you should go, and I will console you with my eye upon you. That is knowing the will of God. The second one is God's will known through prayers. If you want to know the will of God through prayers, you should pray. You should pray and say to the Lord like this: Lord, make me know you. Teach me your paths. Lead me in the truth and teach me. For you are the God of salvation. For you I will wait all the day. That is knowing the will of God through praying. For you to expand it further, go and read Psalms 25 verse 4 to 5. We move to identification with God's will. When God's will has been received during prayer, the believer has to allow the Holy Spirit to work in his or her life so that he or she will love God's will in a deep way. Number 2, identifies completely with God's will. After knowing the will of God and God's will known through prayers, the next is right motive to know the will of God. Right motive to know the will of God. There is a possibility that a person may be committed to the will of God because that will coincide with his will, with the will of God. So you should love God's will and wait for its accomplishment. So as I said, I said the art of prayer. There were two: God's will and waiting on God. So I've finished the part of God's will. Now I'm going to the part of waiting on God. So we start by waiting in prayer. There are many reasons, and it is important to wait during prayer. Why waiting is important during prayer? So that we can receive God's will through prayers. So number 1 is waiting to know the will of God. Before someone prays, try before the